Welcome, everybody, back. Hope everybody had a nice summer. It was June. Was it June last time? Yes. Yeah. So welcome back. Still summery out there. So we will call the meeting to order. Start with the land acknowledgement. The Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority respectfully acknowledges that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas and Chippewas of the Anishinaabe, known today as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands acknowledges their resilience and their long-standing contribution to the area. We are thankful for the opportunity to learn, live, and share with mutual respect and appreciation. And is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. So next we have the minutes of the last meeting. Moved by Randy, seconded by Joan. Is there any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. The adoption of the agenda. We want to move that. Miriam, seconded by Mark. And all in favor? And business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Delegations, we have none. Presentations, none. Correspondence 07/24 Northumberland County Draft Growth Management Official Plan Amendment GRCA comments. So that should be attached to your agenda. Have a mover for that. Moved by Adam, seconded. Even by Lance. And is there any discussion?
Yes, so I believe this one had a question with regards to bio assets. Most municipalities are undertaking asset management. And I just wondered if there was an element of involvement with regards to the Conservation Authority and potentially a lot of municipalities are not including bio assets at this time, but there is a movement to include that and how that might impact any GRCA lands that might be within the boundaries of the municipality.
So through you,
Yes.
Madam Chair. It wasn't explicitly discussed in the official plan amendment that the county put forward. But we have started some discussions with partners on working together to map out natural assets. Because there's a lot of synergies there with what we're doing and what the municipalities are doing. So it's definitely on our radar.
On a lower tier.
Yeah, and I guess the land use planning and asset management, they're kind of in separate streams.
Yes.
It is mentioned in the provincial planning statement. But usually asset management planning is done by either corporate services or public works.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they do talk, but it's not driven by the planning process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Joan?
Thank you, to you, Madam Chair. I didn't have my page down. I apologize. I was just wondering when you mentioned, I believe it had to do with stormwater management, and it was green infrastructure. So I was just wondering what it is your sort of thing are you looking at? And the reason I ask is because we are looking at subdivisions in the Grafton area, and I'm just wondering what it is that you are thinking is a good thing to put in place.
So through you, Madam Chair, green infrastructure has been defined by the province in their some of their planning documents as well as the asset management regulation. Generally, what it includes is it could be aspects of natural areas, but it could also be certain types of best management practices in the kind of the toolbox of stormwater management. So it could be something like a bioretention area that's integrated into a landscape feature on a site. It could be an infiltration gallery. I know a number of municipalities are exploring the use of tree pits, or I think one of the name brands is Silva Cells, where you get stormwater into the actual pit around the tree so that you irrigate the tree and get water back into the ground. So a lot of those types of technologies are being implemented in stormwater management now. It's kind of a burgeoning area of that field. So,
And if I may, just follow up. Have any of I know with Coburg, with the subdivisions going on there, have they been doing anything like that? With green infrastructure?
so through you, Madam Chair, I know there have been some technologies that have been tried in Coburg. We worked with Coburg, and I think the utility company, is it Lucy, to do a rain garden in Coburg. It's one example, but I know on certain sites they've used bioretention areas and infiltration areas. And I don't know if any particular applications come to mind, Ken, that you would want to highlight.
Not too matter, not in particular. I know there's been some LID or low impact development technologies used in some of the subdivisions in Port Hope. But that's about all that I can think of offhand right now.
Thank you.
We did actually in Port Hope a few years back have a proposal for a subdivision development that never happened, but now is being reintroduced, where there is a proposal to make a pond into a park into a stormwater management pond. So it would double as that. It never happened. They use that technology elsewhere, so that's yet to be seen, but that was discussed. So there is the history of that as an example.
Thank you.
In Coburg, what I could say is that at the end of Darcy Street, Nickerson Drive, there's a new street that extends. My understanding was part of the approved plans was actually tanks underground that would infiltrate where the moisture, the collected water, and then Ryerson Commons apparently has tanks that infiltrate into the soil. There's a big green space on the south side. There's a development proposal for a new car lot. They too have proposed to have, it's not built yet, but proposed to have tanks, but it's stormwater ponds is mostly what has been used. And the rain garden, yeah, that's been there for quite a while, and good demonstration garden.
Oh, where's, if I may, where's the rain garden?
Through you, Madam Chair, it's at it's on industrial, or sorry, division, and
You were,
is that what it is? You were not far from Kerr Street.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can show you afterward if that's helpful.
Division and Kerr, did you say?
It's in that area, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from those online? Discussion. So I do have one comment and question. So in Port Hope, I think a lot of people will be interested in this report that you did. There was a lot of questions because there's a lot of proposed growth in Port Hope, especially in the West End. So how, other than on your website, do you have a plan of sharing this?
Through you, Madam Chair, we have shared this correspondence with planning staff. So they do have it. So as soon as we've drafted a letter, we shared it with them. But I guess as part of the agenda, it'll be on the website if people want to download it that way.
Okay, perfect.
I think one of my questions actually had to do, and I noticed the source water protection zone for Port Hope, but I wondered if, was there any concern with that saying, like, we have lake drawn water in Coburg?
So I can speak to that through you, Madam Chair. So the reason we focused on the intake protection zone for Port Hope was that the urban boundary expansion that's proposed by the county is in Port Hope. You know, we do have a intake protection zone map for Coburg as well. So if the boundary expansion was in Coburg, we would have had those same comments. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Good discussion. So I'll ask all in favor. Report. And that is carried. 3 applications under Ontario, sorry, number 9. Applications under Ontario Regulation 168/06, permits approved by executive. The schedule is attached. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Randy, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Okay, Randy,
What's a DFO? Direction of the DFO, it says, any direction of the DFO. That's on page 3, over all the way down to Milltown Creek, north of First Street.
Review, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
Oh,
It's an acronym,
Okay, that's fine.
sorry,
Yeah,
we tend to do
I
that.
was sitting here thinking of a whole bunch of different.
Yeah.
and Miriam?
Just a observation this morning when I was cycling down at the waterfront in Coburg, I noticed that they have started construction on the boardwalk, much anticipated boardwalk. So there were sections torn up. So they started, which was one of the permits.
All right. I'll ask for all in favor for that. And that's carried. Number 10, committee reports, Ganaraska Forest Recreational Users Committee meeting minutes of September 5th, 2024. Could I have a mover and a secondary for this, please? Moved by Adam, seconded by Lance. So before any discussion, we do have a new chair of that board. And this was the first meeting, and it looks like it was a pretty productive meeting. So was there any questions, or Lance, if you wanted to provide any additional commentary around that?
Yes, hi, afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we have a new chair, his name's Bob. I thought he did an excellent job directing the first meeting. I think that we probably couldn't ask for a better person as far as qualifications and just his passion. He's a horse enthusiast and a hiker as well, and just I thought he was a really good addition to taking over leadership of the RUC. It seems the feedback, or at least the response from the other members in the user groups, was quite good, and then I think that he kind of tabled it to kind of not hit a reset on everything, but just allow himself to kind of have an understanding of what the concerns are with each respective user group, and then I told him I would help him as best I can to kind of collect as much kind of information from each group, and then just kind of strategize how most effectively to communicate with everyone. And I think that was just the kind of one concern, was maybe a partial disconnect over however period of time between the GRCA and the RUC. And so I think that moving forward, we've got a really strong person in place to be able to work in conjunction with what we're trying to do with the GRCA.
Perfect, great, good news.
Cool.
Any questions? Willie, did you have your hand up?
Muted.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Yeah, through the chair, I just wanted to recognize one of the members that was on the Recreational Users Committee, Marv Whidden. As you all know, or some of you may know, that he passed away. And at our last general government meeting, we have selected a replacement to serve on this committee, and it will be ratified at Monday's council meeting. So that vacancy will be filled, but certainly sorry to have lost Marvin Whidden on there. As Lance had mentioned about the new chair, Marvin was quite enthusiastic about being part of this committee, and certainly a loss on the committee, but for us, loss of a friend. So I just wanted to make mention that this coming Monday, we will ratify that new member to the Recreational Users Committee.
So thank you very much, Willie, for that update, and of course condolences to his family and friends. It's fortunate news. Thank you for that update, though. Any other questions, Miriam?
Yes.
Sorry. Would it behoove us to maybe send some kind of card of appreciation or something on behalf of the GRCA or to his family?
So I'm hearing from Linda that definitely we can send that out. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay.
A question, thank you. The notes were very, very informative from the Recreational Users Committee. I have a question with regards to, are there, with devices or motorized vehicles, are there limits on the speed? And is there a restriction on users of vehicles that can travel at a speed to not wear headphones or earbuds that they have to be able to hear around their environment? I guess a question of clarification.
Yes, so who could
Ed-
answer?
Ed will
Ed,
answer.
Ed, could you answer that?
Hello, so the Ganaraska Forest recreational system does have a speed limit for any use within the property, and that is set at 40 kilometers an hour. But we do not currently have any regulations on earphones or anything like that. We just follow the Ontario regulations for PPE for whatever activity the people are actively involved in.
Thank you. So just to follow up on that question for the e-bikes. Maybe I should know this, but what trail system do they use?
Okay, so e-bike as defined the province of Ontario, they define it as a power-assisted bicycle, also called an electric bicycle or e-bike, is a bicycle with an electric motor that has a handlebar for steering, working pedals, 2 or 3 wheels, an electric motor, and a brake system. So right now, e-bicycles, considering that they have motors in them, they are restricted to use only within the west or the east forest and all of the trails in both of those sections are multi-use trails. So they're authorized to go on any trail in those 2 sections. E-bikes, since they are motorized, are not authorized within the non-motorized section known as the central forest.
Sorry, you're frozen there. So because they're motorized, they're not authorized in the non-motorized area?
Right.
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
Any other questions? All right, so I'll ask all in favor of the REC report. And that is carried. Number 11, new business. Draft watershed-based resource management strategy. I have a mover and a seconder for that one, please. Moved by Jones, seconded by Lance. Any discussion?
Just a great report.
All right, no discussion. I'll ask all in favor. And that's carried. And B is draft conservation land strategy public consultation report. And I'm looking for any seconder for that. Moved by Adam, seconded by Randy. Any discussion or questions for that report? Miriam.
A general question, there are different uses of the forest. I can only imagine as we get built up around, like, increased population development. Long-term planning, is there any possibility or indication that hunting might be banned because of the carrying capacity of the forest? Is that part of the future planning?
So it's a hunting question. Would that be
It could be Ed or it could be Pam. either.
Ed or Pam, if you want to jump on that one, maybe? So we're asking about hunting and whether that would be potentially banned with more growth.
I can start, and if Ed wants to add a bit more information. I would never think of it in terms of a abandonment. Right now, it is a multi-use forest, and to you, Madam Chair, sorry. But it could allow us to consider where it may happen in isolation of other uses or with other uses. So right now, as Ed mentioned, the forest is multi-use. The only place in the forest that hunting is not permitted is in part of the central forest. And that's where the education programs run out of and where our weekend groups kind of congregate more in that central forest. So we already have it restricted in one area because of potential conflict. And it does not occur on any of our other, like the 9 conservation areas. So it's always something that we would, I guess, follow along to see if those conflicts are coming to be, if there's a need to change things in a management framework. But it might not necessarily be a complete ban of it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Next is the conservation land strategy. I have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Lance, seconded by Adam. Any questions or conversation? No? All right, all in favor? That is also carried. Fees, policy and schedule update. Fun one, so could we have a mover, please, and a seconder? Moved by Mark, seconded by Adam. Any questions or comments? Mark, go ahead.
Just a quick question. The fees that are changing are the ones with the slash mark, Linda? Are they the only ones? I presume that's the ones that have changed.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm not sure the ones, so we have not changed, I'll go through these quickly. We have not changed any of the fees on Schedule 1 for plan review and permitting. The only thing we did change there was the title. So that was reflected in the policy as well. The tree planting fees did not change. So Schedule 2 did not change. The Schedule 3, the Ganaraska Forest Recreation fees did not change. So, and with Schedule 4 from the educational program fees, basically what changed there was we put a from in front of them. Sorry, somebody's out and I need to admit, I can't read who that is, but okay. I think it's if I'm something. iPhone.
Lance.
No,
Oh,
Lance is there.
Anyways.
Sorry, guys, that's me. I just have to switch over because I've got to leave my laptop.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
So as I said, we put a from because there's a range and we didn't want to have people think that, oh, it's, and normally it is just $15. I'm using the extended care for $15 a day for a camper, but that's the only change. We didn't really. And Schedule 5 for the rentals, again, we put the word from, but we didn't change the fees. There's still base fees there for the rentals. And we did change, so for weddings, we did increase it by, so where it says from, that was a cost of living increase. And so that has changed. And then the other fees, actually, all we did was rent some items. So we did take some things out.
How much in there?
So Lance is not muted, so yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious if anything's changed. As far as municipal rates and that type thing, nothing changed there, so there was nothing really.
No, there were very minor changes, again, cost of living, but because we do publish these, that's why we wanted to update it, and we added the word from, because the policy does say we can increase it by 3, like the cost of living. So if we publish a rate that's got a cost of living, that's why we added the word from, so that we don't have to do this every single year.
Great, thank you for that.
And the planning fees are still frozen through the province.
Thank you. And I have a question from Adam.
Yeah, so on Schedule 3, the memberships and the date. I noticed all the different membership types. Do we have a like full package? Because I noticed in the cross-country skiing will give you hiking, snowshoeing, and then the cross-country skiing, the motorized use operator will give you everything except for cross-country skiing. But if you're somebody that's living in that area, you might want to take advantage of all the different things. Do we have a membership that is all encompassing?
We do not have one that includes cross-country skiing and motorized. We do. So it's those.
So they would have like two
packages.
different memberships if they wanted to do cross-country. Sorry, through the chair.
Through you. Ed, do you want to correct me if I'm wrong? Is there a package that includes the cross-country skiing and motorized?
Well, cross-country skiing is always on its own.
Yes.
Thank you.
My question?
Any,
So a youth under 12 years of age can ride an e-bike that can go like 40 kilometers an hour?
Through you, Madam Chair, we follow all of the regulatory legislation out there, so a youth is defined as
Under 12 years of age.
So through you, perhaps Ed can answer that.
Ed, did you hear that question?
I heard that you asked about the age of individuals.
Yes, under e-bikes under the age of 12.
Yes, so the Ganaraska Forest, we follow the Ontario regulations about off-road use, and they deem a person, here we deem the person under the age of 12. I'm just reading here from my files here. Under the age of 12 as being a youth. Anybody 12 or older is considered an adult. So anybody under the age of 12 needs to be directly supervised by an adult while they are operating a motorized vehicle on the property.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the user fees? Okay, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And the 2025 preliminary budget criteria. The mover and a seconder for that one. Moved by Joan, seconded by Mark. Any questions or comments? Okay.
Town of Coburg is in the process of sorting out its stormwater management fee. As you know, the GRCA was sent a bill. I have not been able to confirm with Linda the status of that, but Coburg Town Council is to receive an updated report from town staff, hopefully next week, but it might impact budget on how it lands.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair. I have been in contact with staff through Coburg. We did pay all of our stormwater management fees up until, I believe, a month ago, because our understanding is it's going to be returned. And so, and our understanding too is direction of council to the public when we were viewing or when we were in attendance that any interest charges would be reversed, and so we are not anticipating the stormwater management fees that were charged will be in effect for the 2025 years. So that's our understanding. So we will follow the final budget will come into this board in November, and we'll follow what council is doing up until that point. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments about that report or recommendation? All right, so for all in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. So I have no other new business. And I'm looking at Linda here. I think she does.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering, so we are now moving away from trying to move away from checks to e-transfers. So our members find if, and you can let me know, you don't have to let me know right now, if we will be moving to e-transfers. So if we use the email address that you have with us on file, otherwise you can get in touch with me if you prefer not. You don't have to say it here at this meeting, you can just get in touch with me. And we can still do checks because we still have that capability, so. Okay.
I don't do e-transfers, I'm a bit of a recluse that way.
That's,
Can you deposit automatically to a bank account? Is that the same thing?
we can arrange that, yes.
Okay, because that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's through you, that was the only thing that I had.
Okay, so did you, 1 second, did you want everybody to email you to let you know?
Yeah, if otherwise, we will just use the email address that we have on file.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right,
The only other thing, Madam Chair, that I wanted to, I guess, let folks know is the long-awaited flood hazard identification and mapping program funding. That window has just opened up last week, so we have been in discussions with some staff to formalize those applications so that they're ready to go in. So you may see that come up at council, and we've just been reiterating that this is kind of once in a generation funding. Given that mapping costs have been downloaded to the municipalities, the fact that the federal government is chipping in is going to be a real help. So we're very excited about that. The only other thing to note is originally when we went around to councils last fall, we were hoping to do the work over 4 years because the funding announcement was delayed a year. We have to do that work in 3 years. So the per year cost has gone up a little bit, but it's the same overall cost.
okay, so, and you'll be communicating this updated, because municipalities are going into budget now, so you'll be communicating that prior to budget time.
Yeah, I've been speaking with staff on the revised numbers and what that means.
Perfect,
So.
great, that's good news.
Mhm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering what is the grant amount? What do you expect to receive from that? Or what are you going for?
Through you, Madam Chair, it varies by municipality and the area or the extent of the area that we're trying to update. So we're not sure, in terms of the total. I can give a ballpark of, to get everything done for the 3 municipalities that have expressed interest, it's costing in the ballpark of about 700,000 amongst those 3 municipalities, and then the other 50% is covered by the federal government if we're successful. We don't know that yet, but that's kind of the ballpark of cost, because some of our mapping, I give Hamilton Township as an example. The mapping's 49 years old, so it really is. It shows the need that's out there to get this stuff updated, and I don't have digital models for a lot of our watershed. And that really inhibits my ability to serve our partners and the consulting community. So it's a priority for us to get that done.
Is the technology LiDAR? Is that the technology you use or what?
I'm sure LiDAR is one piece of data that goes into it.
Yeah.
That allows us to build digital terrain models
Yes.
on which to build these models. So. And I'll come back to the board with more information as we go down this road, and I can do a floodplain mapping 101 just to inform the board on that.
Thank you. So I don't want to get into too much detail, but just a question, could this mapping change? Let's say a municipality had to move a fire station because of data. Could some of these decisions should we be holding off and waiting for this to happen? Could it make a significant difference?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think it depends on the riverine system that we're looking at. One of the funding, like the criteria that's in the funding, is to plan for climate change. So while the climate change floodplains won't be a regulatory mapping product, it does allow communities to plan for how this may change in the future. So we would expect at the end of the 3 years, we would have very new, bright, shiny mapping that's going to be something we can update on a regular basis. And I think that'll help inform a lot lot of projects, but I wouldn't hold off on anything in particular. If something is sensitive, I think staff can highlight that as part of the review process.
I just had a follow-up, if I may, Madam Chair. You mentioned 3 municipalities that were interested in doing this. I think probably H would not be included in that because we're such a small part of this, or should they be?
Through you, Madam Chair, Alderman Haldeman's, the part of our watershed that that they're in, it's largely headwaters, so the amount of floodplain that's mapped up there is quite minimal. And our view was that the reach, I think Coburg Creek has a reach maybe 1 kilometer or 2, so we're just gonna update that as part of the other projects that we're doing. It's such a small area and a minimal cost to do that. We'll just do it as part of the broader work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good news. Any other questions? Okay, any other new business from anybody? No, and I think is the next meeting October 17th?
Yes, it is.
All right, so we'll see you October 17th. We have no public question period. And we don't have the camera, so we are ready to adjourn.
This one mover.
One mover to adjourn. Anyone? Adam. All right, see you next month.